Good morning, I'm Serenity Nova, and you're watching Red Wave News TV. In today's headlines, the White House is pushing back against recent criticisms from the Post regarding President Biden's health. Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre labeled the Post coverage as misinformation, accusing them of misrepresenting videos featuring the 81-year-old president at recent events alongside G7 leaders and former President Barack Obama. One video showed President Biden being guided by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni after a skydiving demonstration, and another depicted former President Obama assisting Biden off the stage at a Hollywood fundraiser. Jean-Pierre described these clips as cheap fakes, suggesting they were altered to mislead viewers. However, she mistakenly referred to them as deepfakes, a term typically used for AI-generated content. During a press briefing, Jean-Pierre emphasized that these videos were manipulated in bad faith, aiming to mislead the public. She cited support from the Washington Examiner, which quoted UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak explaining Biden's actions, thereby attempting to provide context to the incidents.
Two instances in recent days where leaders, former President Obama and Giorgia Meloni of Italy, they physically put hands on the president to guide him and show him, give stage directions. Are they doing that on their own, or has anybody asked them to run the show like that?
First of all, let me spoke to the most recent, right? And as we saw on Saturday, President Obama's office put out a statement. So I would refer you to that statement about what was being accused in those by others. And he said this did not happen in the sense of what people were saying they were seeing, right? Or what was being falsely reported that they were seeing. Let's not forget, President Obama, President Biden have a relationship. They are friends. They're like family to each other. And I think that's what you saw. You saw the president put his hand on the back of President Biden, and they walked off the stage after taking questions or at an event taking questions from Jimmy Kimmel. That is what you saw. But I would refer you to President Obama's office statement. They talked about this, they discussed this, and they came out with it pretty quickly.
And Meloni,
all right.
You wanted to say something about
Meloni? I don't have anything. I don't know specifically what happened with Meloni.
The wandering, the parachutist.
Oh, I mean, look, that was, as I said, it was a cheap, a cheap fake. That was definitely a cheap fake. It was. This was widely fact-checked. That video was widely fact-checked, including by conservative media, on what happened, what occurred. The president walked over to give a thumbs up to divers who had just landed right in front of him, and if you run that tape a little bit longer, you would see what was happening, what the president was actually doing, and it is a cheap fake.
So that is what about nothing, and he's totally normal.
What I'm saying is, this is a president, right? Let's step back for a second. Instead of, and I said this moments ago, instead of Republicans, focusing on the president's performance in office and what he's been able to accomplish, his actual record, they do these cheap fakes. They're cheap fakes. And you're asking me about the Meloni, you're asking me what happened. That video was, okay, let's talk about Juneteenth. The president stood there listening to the music, and he didn't dance. Excuse me, I did not know not dancing was a health issue. That is a weird thing to actually flag when, if you look at the people who are around him, you look at the expanded video of the people who were around him, they were not. There were some folks who were not dancing either, and that has been fact checked. I mean, just because you're standing up listening to music and not dancing, that is not a health issue. That is just not a health issue.
Majorities of American voters who are telling pollsters repeatedly for years now that they have serious concerns about this president's cognitive fitness are being misled by cheap fake videos?
I'm saying that there have been, in recent weeks, there have been cheap fakes videos that have been fact-checked. They've been fact-checked by conservative media as well, to say that these videos are false. They're purposefully being altered.
So
that is, look,
he's fine.
The president has done more in his 3.5 years as president than that, because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to deliver for the American people. He's able to make sure that we attack climate crisis with the Inflation Reduction Act. He's make sure that we're able to create 15 million jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs. He was able to make sure that unemployment went down. He was able to make sure that we are able to have Medicaid actually able to negotiate with pharmaceutical companies, something that no other president has been able to do. This president has been able to do. I think that tells you everything that you need to do by looking at his record. And what you're seeing right now is Republicans, instead of talking what I just talked about, they're really diving into these cheap fake videos. And it's in bad faith. That's what I'm saying. What they're doing is pure bad faith, and it's been fact-checked by many, including conservative fact-checkers. Go ahead, Naomi.
Thanks, Greg. Just on another topic, does the White House have a comment on Press Secretary or former Press Secretary Jen Psaki's testimony that's upcoming about in front of the Foreign Affairs Committee about Afghanistan?
I don't have any comment at this time.
And then, sorry, you sort of said last that next week you are going to commemorate the anniversary of Dobbs. Are there new measures that we should expect, or?
So don't have anything to read out at this current moment, but obviously the president and the vice president are going to continue to talk about the Dobbs decision and how that's affected millions, tens of millions of women across the country, and the devastating impact that we see. Once we have more to share, certainly we will. I just don't have anything at this time. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Jean-Pierre praised the Washington Examiner for highlighting the misleading nature of the videos, contrasting this with the criticism from the Post. She argued that these attacks distract from President Biden's legislative achievements in service to the American people. Following the briefing, Jean-Pierre acknowledged her error in terminology, reiterating that the videos were cheap fakes rather than deep fakes. Deputy Press Secretary Andrew Bates also commended Jean-Pierre, asserting that her comments struck a nerve with those spreading the misleading videos. The White House maintains that President Biden's actions were taken out of context, insisting he was offering encouragement during the skydiving event in Italy and merely greeting the crowd at the fundraiser. Stay tuned for more updates and analysis on this developing story. This is Serenity Nova, and you're watching Red Wave News TV.